Hi everybody and welcome to the video and live streaming show. My name's John Lacey. Thank you so much for being with us today. The topic for today is really about checking in as a creator and the fact that we're sort of halfway through 2024. I don't know where the year has gone. I think if you blinked, you might have missed it. So we're going to take an opportunity today to maybe reflect on how your content creation goals are going. If there are things that you want to try, if there are things that you want to maybe let go of, and that's really the focus for today's live stream. So thank you so much for joining me today. Normally Sam Proof would be here. I believe he's having some technical issues, so hopefully he might be able to join us. I'm really not too sure at this point in time, but like I said, today we're really focusing on what has happened in the last 6 months, and how are you coping with all of that, and whether there's something you want to change moving forward. Let's check in with the chat. We are going out live to all the various places, so let me know where you're watching from in the chat. That would be awesome. Hello to Saeed, who's watching from Germany, where I'm sure it's ridiculously late or early, depending on how you look at that. Okay, so let's just get stuck into this. So I kind of want to frame this conversation, and again, I want you to take this opportunity to reflect a little bit, and if you're comfortable, add some contributions in the chat. But these are the questions that I'm going to explore, and I'll just bring them up briefly right now, and then we'll dig into each one of them separately. So what has worked well for you in the last 6 months? What will you continue doing is the first question. We've also got, what hasn't worked as well as you hoped? Will you change your approach? Will you let it go? And I have to repress that impulse to sing that Disney song every time I see Let It Go. But we won't do that for a variety of reasons. Okay, so number 3 is, are the tools you're using right now supporting you well, or would you like to explore other options? And finally, number 4, what new things would you like to explore for the rest of the year? So that's what we're going to be unpacking today. So again, let me know in the chat where you're watching from, and if you are, and hello to Cheryl's Design and Photo Art, who's watching from Florida. Great to have your company today. Okay, so, and if you just joined us, Sam should be joining me today, but I think he's having some internet issues, so hopefully he'll pop in, but if not, hopefully I can keep you entertained nonetheless. So we are going to be reflecting on what's happened in the last 6 months, and I guess I'm kind of seeing a bit of a trend right now where a lot of people are reflecting on the things that they're doing and wondering if it's really worth it, and they're feeling a little bit burnt out, a little bit disillusioned. So, okay, hello to Business Growth Ready, who's watching midnight in the UK. Saeed is already jumping in with some contributions, which I love. So Saeed published 23 videos, including shorts, on YouTube since January. So that's pretty good. And I know, you say since January. I think you've been doing that a lot more recently. So that's cool. All right. I must admit, I'm a little scared about filling an entire hour without Sam. So we'll just see how we go. But let's get stuck into these questions. So, what has worked well? What will you continue doing? So Saeed already mentioned that he's building his YouTube channel, and I must admit he's doing really, really well. Like, it is growing really quickly. For me, it almost felt like I've been doing this for years, and it took a really, really long time to sort of get to 200 subscribers, and I think it's 420 something right now. I'd have to have a look at that. But again, that is something that is working pretty well for me. I like doing these live streams. I like doing the show. Ordinarily, Sam would be here as well. But that has worked really well for me. I've also enjoyed doing newsletters on LinkedIn. And I have a complicated relationship with LinkedIn. I don't know if any of you are actually doing stuff on LinkedIn. I know Saeed is doing stuff on LinkedIn. But is that a destination? And I guess that's something I would be curious about. What are the destinations that you're focusing on right now? And do you think that might change in the future? Because I think that would be really worthwhile exploring. Again, Saeed said also gained about 150 new subscribers, sitting on 198 right now, only 2 missing for 200. So if you are on YouTube, go over to youtube.com/@thefacilitator and go follow Saeed. He does really great stuff over there, making facilitation fun and engaging. Okay, cool. So let's I guess what I kind of want to do right now, and again, just to give you some context, my main focus has been YouTube and LinkedIn. And I don't know, I've kind of fallen out of love with LinkedIn recently, if I'm being completely honest. And I know a lot of people who are LinkedIn trainers that'll probably be quite disillusioned with me saying that out loud, but it hasn't been giving me a lot of joy. And I used to post every single day of the week, and recently I couldn't do it. So I've cut back a bit, and my stats have definitely, in terms of the impressions, they've definitely gone down. So it's something I'm kind of thinking about right now. Ender Trading is saying that LinkedIn is great for trust. Hello to Roy Kowalski, who's watching over on LinkedIn as well. And Ender's also saying for search, Reddit and Quora are great as well. Yeah, those are potentially great options as well. So where are you currently putting your energy? What are the kinds of things that you're doing right now? And do you think they're working well for you? That's what I'd really love to know in this first segment of today's show. So, like I said, YouTube and LinkedIn have been my focus. In some ways, I think the poor neglected part of my content is my website. And I genuinely have no excuse because I'm kind of a web designer and developer by trade. I just don't always get in there to update things, so I need to be a little bit better on that. Again, Saeed is saying that platforms like LinkedIn are true bubbles. I try to funnel fans into my mailing list. I think that's fair. We don't have a lot of control over social media algorithms generally, so it is something that you do need to think about. Cheryl's design and photo art is saying I haven't posted on LinkedIn for quite a while. And Roy is mentioning that impressions are generally down for all on LinkedIn. And I guess as someone who spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I kind of went in and I rang the bell on a whole bunch of people that I wanted to hear, it does seem like people are posting a lot less as well because I'm not getting those notifications. So I mean, it could be just a question of it is a busy time of year and people are busy and maybe they're a little bit disillusioned. And I think that's fine. I don't think we need to be posting everywhere all the time. But I think it is, and obviously, I say obviously, you may not know Roy, but he says, I still use LinkedIn as my primary source of showcasing who I am and what I do. And I think that is quite a useful approach to LinkedIn. And I guess... like I'm live streaming over on LinkedIn right now, on LinkedIn Live, and it's great to see some comments from LinkedIn. But again, I don't know. I've found it really, really difficult, and I've reached out to a lot of people. My running joke is that I can't get arrested on LinkedIn. Like I just try so hard and create so much content, and you know, shout out to Saeed and 2 or 3 other people that like it. But I don't get a lot of joy over there. So I don't know. I'm kind of reevaluating that a little bit. And again, it could be the kind of content because again, Saeed is saying when I see that one of my silly memes gets 10 times the attention of a serious topic, I put a lot of effort into, I start doubting the universe. Yes, this is true. And I'm exactly the same. And I don't know if it's me being an introvert, but I'm very detailed orientated. I want to go deep into a subject. I really want to explore it. And I like the LinkedIn newsletters for that reason. But to be honest, you know, I see posts that say things like dogs are cute and get like 10 billion likes. And it's not that I don't think dogs are cute. I'm such a dog person, and apologies to all the Kid Avalanche cat people that are going to take offense at that. But again, I'm just looking for something with a little more meat to it, I guess. And it is one of those things that, you know, if you post a picture of your dog, I will definitely like that. So again, I guess it just depends on who you are and what you're doing. I know Saeed does use a lot of humor and people do love that. And I guess in some ways, the thing that I struggle with a little bit is that I do very specific things. And I know those things are probably for a relatively small audience. Like, they're just not for everybody. And, you know, I just need to be okay with that, I think. Hello to Roy, Tech Troublemaker, who's joining us over on YouTube. Great to have your company today. So today we're really reflecting on the fact that it is July. The year is half over. We're just taking stock a little bit, reflecting on what has worked and maybe what hasn't worked so well in the last 6 months, and maybe how we might change our approach moving forward. So if you're comfortable answering any of these questions, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, and Ender is saying that the LinkedIn profile needs to be fully completed to benefits such as verify the profile, add education, jobs, business page, and use the free trials of premium. I must admit, I haven't dabbled with premium, but it might be something to explore in the future. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is just take a moment and reflect on what have you done in the last 6 months in terms of your content creation, and how do you think it's going? And again, I know it's often difficult to be objective about this kind of thing, so don't beat yourself up too much. First of all, because I feel like it's very human to want to do all of the things and be in all of the places. And that's great in theory, but in reality, we have limited time and energy and money and resources. So we need to think about being mindful about how we use those. So again, what has worked well? What will you continue doing? Certainly, we will continue to do this show. Although how we do this show is going to change, and I'll talk about that in another segment later on today. Some of the tech we'll be using will change a little bit for reasons I'll get into in a moment. Again, I really do love the LinkedIn newsletter functionality, and I, as a writer at heart, I really love the ability to express myself in that way. And again, I don't know that it's getting a lot of love. I don't think LinkedIn is the most natural place for a lot of people to hang out on, even though I'm kind of obsessed with it right now. So I don't know, maybe I need to move that to my own website and bring more people over there. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do on that front. So Saeed is saying that repurposing worked relatively fine for me. I don't think I have recorded a single video on purpose for LinkedIn. And again, if you don't know Saeed, he does a lot of workshops and he has a lot of recordings. So it's often just going through those and finding those gems to cut out and share with his audience. Okay. Hello to Michelle J. Raymond, who's watching over on LinkedIn and probably missed all the disparaging things I said about LinkedIn. So hopefully that's a good thing. So today on the show, it is a little bit different. First of all, Sam's not here. He's just because he's having internet issues, unfortunately. So hopefully he'll get those resolved and he'll make an appearance. I don't know if he'll be able to join us today, but hopefully he'll be back next week. But we'll just see what happens. But today we really want to just check in and see how you're feeling as a content creator, and just the fact that we're halfway through this year. Take a moment, reflect on what's working. Pat yourself on the back for not giving up, first of all, and just see if you can. And Michelle J. Raymond is saying Michelle J. Raymond is currently distracted with all the tech you made me buy. This is true. I managed to convince Michelle to buy a camera. I think the Sony ZV E10 in the end, and a whole bunch of accessories. So I imagine I will be on tech support for that at some point in the near future. But yes, have fun. I guess that's another thing I've learned about myself this year is I'm just a geek and I love tools and technology. And I think sometimes like my tendency is to want to not get too carried away with too many things. But the truth is that stuff genuinely makes me happy. And I bought a Bluetooth keyboard from Kmart yesterday for a whole $10. And it's kept me entertained for hours. So I think I need to embrace that and have a little bit more fun. Hello to Talk Virtual. So every month this year, I've hosted an interview, a masterclass, a panel discussion, and a post-event deep dive with one speaker each month. That's awesome, and I love the things that you've been doing. I sort of joke that I can't always get there because of the time zone difference, but I do see the things you're doing, Erica, and I think it's amazing. So keep it up. Well done to you. Let's celebrate some wins here today, people. Again, Saeed saying, yes, LinkedIn is great if you are connected with the right people. That's absolutely true. And I guess if I'm being really honest with you, I get a lot of requests from some people that often aren't really real people, but often like their reasons for connecting are very transparent. And I know they're going to pitch slap me the moment I accept. And I'm a little bit disillusioned with this. Speaking of not giving up, Sam is trying to get online still. So again, if you can, Sam, that would be awesome. But if you can't, don't stress too much. But it's great to see you in the comments. Okay. let's check in with Cheryl. So Cheryl writes, I watched some of my older videos, so I think I might repurpose some of those. I also redesigned my landing page and I gained about 100 new subscribers, up from 50 to 159. That's awesome. I love that. That's so exciting. Thank you for sharing that, Cheryl. That's really, really cool. Okay. And Michelle saying, I love your geekiness. It helps me so much. I love, like I said a moment ago, I love being geeky, and I just find it fun. And I think that's the thing I always try to explain to people is you don't want to get too carried away with the gear. Like, you don't want to go into debt to buy the gear. But if you do have disposable income and it kind of makes you happy, then by all means, explore the things you want to explore. And I guess, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I'm going to anyway. I love audio gear, and I've got so many microphones, and I can really only use one of those microphones at a time. But I bought a new one, a Shure SM58, because I want to make some music. And I'm not a particularly gifted musician, if I'm being honest, but it's something I do as a hobby. And I just love the idea of playing my keyboard and maybe singing a little bit at the same time. And although I already have a whole bunch of microphones, I just needed one for that purpose specifically, if I can spit that word out. Ender is also saying that if anyone wants a 2-month free trial of LinkedIn Premium, get in touch with him. Okay, cool. Share some geeky ideas in video making. Okay, all right, let's do that. So, and I must admit, I'm just loving the chat today. It's really, really fun. So, you know, one of the things that I really love, and I don't know, I probably don't have an image of this, but whenever I'm in OBS Studio, and again, that's a piece of software that is free and open source. You can use it on Mac, you can use it on PC, you can use it on Linux. I have up this plugin called Atom Vertical, and essentially it gives me the ability to stream or record or both in horizontal and vertical formats at the same time. And the great thing about that is it really gives me, like, by the end of this session, I will have a vertical version and a horizontal version of this entire show. I'm not actually streaming the vertical version out anywhere, but the great thing about this is I can throw this into my video editing software. I can grab a few clips, just make sure that they're sort of 59 seconds or fewer, and edit those. And they can be shorts, they can be posted to LinkedIn, they can be reels on Instagram and Facebook. They can go to TikTok. Streaming TikTok is still a thing. So we can certainly do that as well. So that's one thing. The other thing that I've really been geeking out about, and I'll keep this for the next segment or a future segment. So we'll hold on to that thought. Okay, what I'm going to do, and I'm loving the chat. This is so much fun, but we're going to go to a quick message, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about our next question. So hang tight. This is the video and live streaming show. Thank you so much for being here today.
We are constantly training our cats every interaction that we have with them. Mm-hmm. So when Johan would get on my counter before, this is 10 years ago, before I was the cat expert that I am now, Johan would jump on the counter. What was the first thing I did? I'd say his name, Johan. He loves that. That's a reward for him. He said, you just said my name. I would go over to him and I'd talk to him and be like, you can't be on the counter. Johan loves when I talk to him. Ding, that's another reward for Johan. I'd pick him up and put him on the ground, but I didn't want him to think I was mad at him. So when I'd pick him up very nicely and kiss him on the head and say, I love you, but you can't be here. I'd put him on the ground. I had just done 3 things that rewarded him for being on the counter. So I was encouraging him to continue doing that.
Okay, that's a segment from Sam's podcast, Just Kidding Around, which you can learn more about at acuteavalanche.com. Yes, okay, there's so much exciting stuff happening. Okay, Sam is apparently here. Let's bring him on. Hello, Sam.
Hey! I hope everything's working.
Yes, I can
don't
hear you.
know how long I'll actually be here. It's been a weird... It's been a solar flare tech day, something like that. I don't know.
All right, no worries. So, I mean, today we're literally just we're just reflecting on things that have worked well and things that maybe haven't worked so well, and just reflecting on the last 6 months. The chat is on fire, which is amazing. I love it. And I kind of want to just keep going and keep answering questions. Maybe we need to. It's one of those things that Sam has been saying for the longest time. We need just question and answer and chat shows. And I'm like, yeah, but what if nobody shows up?
Right.
But it's really, I mean, and again, Sam very on brand, smacking his microphone stand around. Um,
That's the least of my worries today. Anyway.
all right. Okay. Oh, okay. So we've got some great stuff happening in the chat. Let me just check out where we're up to. So, fun fact, Saeed finally signed up for Instagram and X. I did, and he's saying he's too old for this. I don't think you're that old. I mean, you're younger than me, so I've always liked Twitter. I don't like what's been happening with it lately, unfortunately, but that's what happens when things are purchased. Erica is saying repurposing your content is a great idea. To Cheryl, sure. Focus on what you love doing, and LinkedIn is much more fun. I think that's true. Like, I think sometimes, and Michelle speaks about people often bringing a LinkedIn professional version of themselves to LinkedIn, which, can be a bit of a barrier for actually bonding and meeting people and networking properly. Okay, so getting back to some nerdy techie questions. DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro is my other question. Okay. All right, Michelle, I'm going to level with you, and I know because we've had a number of conversations that I think you're working from a Micro Surface Pro as a laptop. I don't know that DaVinci Resolve is going to run particularly well on that, but we might need to check the stats. Part of the reason I bought this incredibly, insanely expensive computer at the beginning of the year was so I could try more beefy software like DaVinci Resolve, and I haven't had the time to really learn it properly. But again, I think, yeah, and I guess I'd be curious, Sam, to get your take on this, because I'm sure you've done a lot more in Premiere Pro than I do. But how do you think we might evaluate an option in terms of, what is a good starting piece of software for video editing specifically?
Yeah. I mean, I think it does depend on, how powerful the hardware you have access to is. And really, if you're just working on I don't know all the PC laptops, but like something the equivalent of a MacBook Air, which is not the beefiest of laptop machines, I would buy to run Premiere before. I personally love Premiere. I have experience with Premiere. When I first installed DaVinci Resolve, and this was on a tower PC, I just felt lost by the UX, and I just could, and it took up so much space. I just couldn't deal with it, and I got rid of it. I honestly, unless you are editing like a feature film or a Mr. Beast video, think most people can get what they want done in CapCut or Camtasia.
Yeah. And again, we've done entire shows on CapCut versus Camtasia in the past, so you might want to look those up. But I guess, and it's funny, I think CapCut is the answer for most people that aren't like creating motion pictures, like, big budget Hollywood things. The only question mark over CapCut right now is America's relationship to it, because we know about all that drama. So hopefully it doesn't go away, because it really is, like, the desktop version is amazing, and it's basically free. There's some premium features if you want to upgrade, but I don't know that you really need them. Although I don't know if Roy's still in the chat. He may not be, but I know he uses CapCut Premium.
Nice.
And the great thing about CapCut Premium actually is that it'll take a horizontal video and create a vertical version of it pretty simply. Okay, we're gonna there's so much going on in the chat, and I love it, and I'll come back and revisit it in a second. But I'm gonna do these questions out of order a little bit. So let's talk about tools, because I think that's what the audience are eager to explore right now. So the question was, are the tools you're using right now supporting you, or would you like to explore other options? And I think, Sam, how about you and I answer this one, and then we might go to the audience and just check in with them as well. So at the moment, I mean, I'm using OBS Studio. I love it so much. And I know not everybody loves it, and that's fine. Use whatever works for you. But it's working really, really well for me. The computer upgrade helped enormously. I can sort of record so much more. I've got disk space. I've got GPUs and all kinds of exciting things happening. So that is really great. The HM Vertical plugin I mentioned earlier before you arrived, Sam, It's just
Yeah.
really, really great, and I love having this vertical version ready to go the second this stream is over. It's really cool. Um, Camtasia is the software I've been using, and I do really like it, and I still like it. They've changed their business model a little bit, so now it's going to be a yearly subscription. And the reason for that seems to be some AI-driven captioning resources, which AI is not my favorite thing at all, and I need to not talk about it, so we'll just move on from that. The other thing I do want to mention, though, is I am so excited, and we did a show on this last week, by the Mix It Up app, and I didn't understand the power of this, and Sam had been talking about it for years and years and years, and I just didn't get it. And like we did a show on it last week. I've been playing with commands. I'm going to create a spreadsheet just so I can add all of the things that I want to add because it is really, really cool. But I think so far those things are working pretty well for me. I don't know that I want to make many changes on that front, but I am sort of curious. Sam, how are you? How are you going with the tools that you've been using? Are they still working for you?
Yeah, I mean, aside from my internet service, which unfortunately I had to downgrade from fiber to this AT&T Air, not to put them on blast, but because fiber is not available in the place that I am now at, it's obviously given me some headaches. But beyond that, the tools I have available, like OBS and CapCut, and Mix It Up, which are among my daily rotation and favorite things ever, I'm not going anywhere from, and hopefully they're not going anywhere either. Those are the things that I love to use. And I constantly find myself just playing with like all of the new possibilities of like, when new plugins come in, I'm like, do I really need that or not? And I really have to hold myself back sometime from not adding, 3 dozen plugins to OBS. But yeah, I think everything's working really well. To go off of something Saeed said, Stream Deck, of course, something that I use not just for live streaming, but in just about any program that is open on my computer, I have a Stream Deck profile for. So yeah, I find that to be the tool that I almost didn't get and is the most used thing ever.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
And it's funny. I think I use mine so consistently that I kind of take it for granted. And yeah. I kind of need to move to another computer where I just don't have the option of using it to appreciate how awesome it is. Saeed and I think some others have included some things, and we'll talk about those in a second. But I guess the one thing, and I almost forgot to mention this, this is probably going to be the last show that we do on StreamYard. We are moving away from StreamYard. In full disclosure, the account that we've been using for the last 80 or so shows was gifted to Sam. He made StreamYard a video, and they gifted us this account, and we have been using it. And I really like StreamYard as a product. I think it's really good. I think it's a great beginner option.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, StreamYard have recently been purchased by another company, and a company that kind of has a bit of a reputation of buying products and driving them into the ground. And we're hearing rumors of developers being fired and all kinds of things. I hope it doesn't go away. I hope it finds some way to go. But the thing I loved about StreamYard as a company is they had so much heart. And the fact that you could talk to the founders every week in their town hall meetings was so lovely, and that they took all our ideas and suggestions on board and explored them. And I'm really sad that has gone away, and they've left the company since then. So I don't know. I'm a little sad about that, but we are excited. We're going to be exploring some new things in terms of Restream for both Restream Studio, which is kind of their in-browser experience, and also just doing some OBS to Restream stuff. I've been wanting to play with this for the longest time, and of course, obviously we're OBS geeks, so we are sort of excited by that. But do you have any thoughts on that, Sam, before we check out some of these comments?
Yeah, for sure. That was one of the things I wanted to bring up, was that we are making this switch, and for the past 80 some episodes, we've called this season 1, and I'm like, do we have to change this to season 2 now? Because it's clearly going to look different. It's going to act different. I'm like, maybe we need to do that. I don't know. I I feel like making the switch to Restream, whereas with StreamYard, you really just had the StreamYard browser-based studio experience. Restream is going to give us the option to either use the Restream browser-based studio experience or stream from OBS. And I almost wonder if that's too much power for us because we're big nerds. And I'm like, we might just overreach ourselves and be like, but we could do this, this, and this, you know. So yeah, it'll be interesting because I know we're going to definitely explore both.
Yes. And we'll be using Video Ninja as well as part of that.
Yes.
But let's check in with the comments. So Michelle J. Raymond has been doing editing in Descript. It's not a bad option, but I guess the thing is, the thing that makes me a little nervous about those text-based editors is that sometimes the audio cuts are quite dramatic. And you think you're just removing an or an R, but like the audio just jumps around a little bit. So I'm just an old man that's been editing waveforms for the longest time, so I'm very comfortable in the old way of doing it. But I mean, it's a good option. I know lots of people use it. Tech Troublemaker is saying that he's not liking the captions in Camtasia so far. I must admit, it's been a little while since I've revisited them, but that was kind of my impression as well. Erica Talk Virtual is asking, vMix or OBS Studio, which should I learn? I mean, it's funny because we had a question about this a few weeks ago. I mean, by all means, explore both of them if you like, but OBS is free and open source, so I mean, you're not paying for it. vMix is sort of an ongoing subscription.
Yeah, I would say that if it depends on the size of your team. If you are a one-woman operation, if you're wearing all the hats, just stick with OBS. It's going to run locally on your machine, and you're going to do all of those things. If you've got, a team behind you, the beauty of vMix is that it is a cloud-based experience, and you can have a producer on their home PC and a live stream operator on their PC, and so on and so forth. And they can all be doing things to like upload assets or switch scenes and all of that simultaneously, which is what vMix is really good at. And I really think that's the delineating factor on that choice.
Okay, cool. Michelle mentioned she's got CapCut. Roy also uses Descript. Erica is currently using OneStream Live. It is interesting because that was something I dabbled with a little bit at the beginning of the year. I think they had a special deal for the new year, and I guess I'm not saying this is a problem for a OneStream Live. I have a feeling there was a quirk with my computer, but for the life of me, I couldn't get it to recognize any of the cameras on my computer. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but it does seem to be a great option. It does have very comparable features to Restream in the sense that you can use their browser-based tool, or you can sort of come through a third-party app.
I only became aware of OneStream a couple of months ago, so I haven't really looked at top to bottom. But does it have the ability to stream from OBS into it?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
I thought so. Okay. I mean, that's cool.
Yep. So the thing is, Erica's been using it and loving it. So again, I guess don't change things just because somebody says something is cool and you've got the FOMO. Like, find a better reason, because no matter what you do, you're going to have to learn how to use all this stuff. Saeed says that his toolkit is OBS, Stream Deck, DaVinci, ChatGPT, and some minor or free tools. I'm trying to get rid of all of the subscriptions I don't need or use frequently. I think this is a really big problem for a lot of people, because you're like, oh, it's only $15 a month, and then you have like 25 of those, and it adds up very, very quickly. I didn't have a chance to comment on it, but yes, there was definitely a cat cameo. Stream Deck is life, says Roy.
Yes.
Business Growth Ready is saying that Speedify may help with your internet issues. I know that's something you're working on, so we won't dwell on that too much for today. This is interesting, and again, Roy Kowalski is saying that he's also tried editing video in Canva. I've heard a few people talk about this, but I've not explored it myself.
I've done a little editing in Canva, especially when I was doing the NFT game show last year. for some very simplistic video files. Like I wouldn't try doing a YouTube vlog or sketch comedy video, or God forbid a feature film in Canva. It's really good at like intro, outro, graphics heavy sort of things, just almost just motion-based slideshows, really.
Cool. Saeed is noticing that and I can totally forgot this was a thing, but as part of my Mix It Up bot, I do have a message that invites you to like and subscribe every 15 minutes. So you can, I was so proud of that last week. But again, there's so much more you can do. Okay. Tech Troublemaker. He writes, just drop LinkedIn and you can just use OBS. So here's the thing, and it's a little bit technical, and I might need to make a post about this later on. But you can, there is actually a part, and it's really buried in LinkedIn, but there is a place where you can just grab a streaming key from LinkedIn and go. So I'll have to document that, and it's one of those things I only found very randomly one day. So it is technically possible, and to go from OBS to LinkedIn without any kind of third-party restream type software or OneStream Live. Yes, and that's basically what Saeed says. It's in the next question. And there is a multi-stream plugin. Yes, that's also true. So again, part of the reason I try not to use those too much is just that the great thing about Restream is I can send a signal from my computer to Restream, and it takes the load of sharing those to all the different platforms. Whereas if I was doing it myself from my computer and my personal internet connection, I'd be sending out like 4 or 5 times the same data to different places, and I think it'll just slow everything down. Again, depending on where you are and how good your internet is, that may not be an issue, but it's probably just something you need to try.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at just going to 2, maybe 3 streaming platforms, depending on your internet, then maybe that's a thing. Like, I have done that where I've used specifically the OBS ATEM vertical plugin to stream one vertical stream, and then the basic OBS to stream a horizontal stream. Technically, I actually was using the virtual camera to have that second stream go to StreamYard, and then that did the stream, which multi-streamed to other places. But I did have 2 streams coming out of my computer at that time. So yeah, like John said, you're going to put not just more load onto your internet connection, but your GPU, your CPU will also take some of that as well. The other benefit to using something like the virtual camera into StreamYard or Restream Studio specifically is if something happens and your connection crashes or your browser crashes, whatever it is, that studio experience will actually keep you live for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the platform, so that you have time to get back in and be like, here I am again, without having to start a whole new thing. Depending on the platform, some platforms, you now have a new URL you'd have to have sent people to. Things like Twitch, it's one landing page, so they're not going anywhere. But like on a YouTube, if it times out, you're going to have to have created a new URL and like hustle to get those people back over to the new place.
Absolutely. And Cheryl says that she's using OBS and Stream Deck. Erica's using all kinds of things, and I know she's a friend of Tanya Smith who likes to share all of the tools. So Book Like a Boss, OneStream Live, Zoom, Crisp. I'm not even sure what that one is. Glasp, Chat, Gemini, Content Fries, and Missing Letter. I barely know what most of those are, but it's fascinating. I'd love to hear more about those. Cheryl is also mentioning that she's done a little bit of video editing in Adobe Express. So I guess that is another thing. If you do have that Adobe subscription, they do have sort of more beginner-friendly tools to do a lot of stuff these days. Again, there's always a bit of a trade-off between how much you can tweak and change. But again, if you just need to get something out quickly, it could be a good place to start. Say it is offering to be a guinea pig for future testing as well. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. Sure. We've been talking about a lot of things for a lot of time. So I'm going to quickly go to a promo, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about sort of what our goals are looking like and how we'll continue in the future.
Hi, I'm John Lacey, and in Build a Presentation Muscle,
I want to talk about finding your voice, refining and sharing your message, using tools and technology to share that message, and looking after yourself as a creator. And that's a promo for my podcast, Build a Presentation Muscle, the podcast all about showcasing your expertise through content creation. You can learn more about that one over at johnlacey.com. And you must admit, in the context of today's conversation, that is something that, you know, if you actually subscribe to, you will know I haven't posted an episode in a really, really long time. And that is something I do want to get back to. I must admit, I don't want to position this as a video versus audio or a podcasting versus YouTube kind of thing, but I really enjoy the immediate interaction that we get in the live stream through the commenting. And I must admit, I don't think like maybe 1, 2, 3 people have mentioned anything about the audio podcast in the year that it's existed. So I don't know. It just feels a little bit lonely, and I think I need to have more fun with it moving forward. But you know, it's something I haven't given up on, and something I definitely will revisit in the near future. But speaking of things, in fact, I'm just wondering which one of these questions to go with, because we're kind of super over time, but let's just get into them quickly. So again, let's I'm just going to grill Sam because I know he wasn't here earlier. So I realize life has been a lot for you lately. You've lost your house in a fire. You've had to find new places to live, all of the things. But I guess putting that to one side for a moment, what has kind of worked well for you this year, and what would you like to keep doing?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to go back before my internet went down today to like review our episode where we talked about our upcoming goals, because I don't know where I have those written down anywhere anymore. But that didn't happen so much. I think prior to the trauma that was mentioned, we had a lot of success with like community building, specifically over for Cute Avalanche, and I think that worked really well. I think the shortcomings of all of that was the like funnel aspect of it, of like, now that you've built this community, what happens? Although at the same time, I'm probably just being very hard on myself, because we actually had a very successful year as far as, you know, just making money online and getting donations to save cats, and, you know, saving cats, which is really what it all came down to, was like, we wanted to do a certain amount of fostering, which obviously we've been put on hold for, but the previous year we did quite well. And we saved a bunch of lives, like almost 36 cats or something of that nature. And really that's what the goal was. So what really worked well was that promotion and community building aspect of it.
Absolutely. And again, I kind of love, I love the community that you built, and that they are so incredibly passionate about cats and kittens. And I mean, obviously it's very cute material to work with at the best of times, but you know, I know there are people in your audience that can't actually have kittens, like cats that they're allergic to, but they love like the ability to be part of that larger mission, I suppose. So I mean, that in itself is really awesome. And again, just because, and I don't even think this is even a question I answered, so let's get into this one quickly. So what hasn't worked as well as you hoped, and will you change your approach, or will you let some things go? I guess for me, and I was grumbling at the beginning of the show, that LinkedIn doesn't give me a lot of joy, even though it's been my focus for years at this point. And up until quite recently, I'd been posting every single day and not really getting a lot of traction. So I think I might even pull back a little bit. I mean, I basically have this show over there. I have a newsletter, and I don't know, I might supplement a few extra things, but I don't know that I have the time or the energy to do as much as I had been doing. But I'm curious, Sam, are there things that, you know, maybe you will let go of for the rest of the year?
Yeah, maybe. I'm in such a weird phase right now because I am just rebuilding everything, and nothing is the same as it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So like, even our main content property, which is the 24/7 live stream, is like not what it was because we're not fostering cats. So right now it's just running a playlist of past clips and stuff like that, and that only restarted a few days ago, honestly, because it was at somebody's house who had graciously let me put it there, and then they went on vacation, and it crashed some point there, and I had no ability to go restart it. So we just restarted that, and it's like now we have to figure out what actually the plan is, because we won't be fostering cats probably, at least not as often as we had been. So I think we have to change even what was working well. It's not something that wasn't working well, but at this point we just have to pivot and figure something else out due to circumstance for at least the next year. And maybe that's going to be guest streams. We've done that in the past where Insomnia Doodles, who is a friend of ours who fosters, took over the live stream. So hopefully we can do some of that, or someone else can do that. We can hopefully partner up with a local rescue and try and get some more live streaming content that way. As far as things that just actually didn't work, I think most of those failures are on my own abilities and free time, where I had great expectations to do 3 shorts a week and 2 VODs a week, long form videos, and that just never took off. And I think just having a sit down with myself and being like, this is what's realistic. And whatever that is, maybe that's 1 long form video a month, and 1 short a week. That might be reasonable. I don't know. So we'll have to see.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, setting expectations for yourself and what is actually achievable is really, really important, because I haven't been having a great time of life generally lately, and I've been putting a lot of energy into things I put out into the world, and it hasn't felt particularly rewarding. And all I really know is I don't want to quit. So I just want to sort of maybe pull back on a few things and just make it a little bit more sustainable. But that said, this last question, the thing is, I kind of want to. So this last question is, what new things would you like to explore? And I guess that's the thing. I want to try a few new things. I want to have a little bit more fun in my content creation, and again, I've got to kind of balance that with what I've got time and energy to do. But I do kind of want to start doing some more streaming. I mean, this show goes out Saturday morning Australian time. I do kind of want to do something Sunday morning as well. I know, and I get the feeling there'll be a much smaller audience for that, and often no one will join me live. But there are just things that I want to do just to get my live streaming chops up a little bit more. So that's certainly something I'm looking to explore. I do also want to put together an OBS workshop and an ebook, and I've actually purchased some tools to help me with that ebook formatting and publishing. And nice. Again, it's not something that I think I will put on Amazon or whatever. I think it'll just be like a free download to share. But I just love the idea of that, and I am kind of first and foremost a writer, so I thought that would be a cool thing to explore. So again, I realize I'm putting you on the spot, and you've just reflected on the fact that so much in your life has changed, and maybe you don't even want to think about new things, but is there anything you want to share in terms of that framing, I suppose?
I've actually already had thoughts on this for Cute Avalanche, along the lines of what I said, where things have to change because they just have to. I have been thinking about, specifically for like the YouTube channel, and maybe not so much for the Twitch channel, because on YouTube you can run multiple live streams. I've been thinking about doing game streaming on the Cute Avalanche channel, specifically cat-based games. So we're going to play around with that, and we'll see what happens. I'll probably do a few tests here and there to see if it's anything. But also more in line with kind of what you were talking about, and what we did last week. I'm hoping to do like a series of sort of shorter videos, not shorts, but shorter videos, like in the standards of, aspect ratio, that are tutorials to make commands in Mix It Up and IFTTT, which is if this then that, and then turning those into blogs as well.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And again, I know I've said it before, but I will say it again. I didn't understand the power and the beauty of Mix It Up until last week. So
Yeah.
it's something I'm so excited about exploring, and I want to just create a billion commands, but I do need to put them in a spreadsheet so I can organize my thoughts a little bit. I just want to go back to this comment from Erica. So, Glassput, which was one of the tools she mentioned, she writes, is a free Google Chrome extension that attaches to YouTube to send your transcripts to Chat, Claude, or Gemini. From there, she asks for a YouTube description or a blog post. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That's right.
That's good to know.
That's right. I actually have that. And like every once in a while, I'll get that thing where the Chrome extension opens a new window to tell you that it's like updated itself. And I'm like, what the hell was this? I'm like, that's what it was. But I use it.
It's funny. Sometimes you will install something and just forget that it exists. And like even this morning, I was like, I know I need to open up the chat bot. I don't remember what that's called. So I went back to last week's show and it's like, oh yes, it's called Mix It Up. Of course it is. All right.
Just make a Stream Deck button that launches it.
Yes. In fact, that's we talk about automation. We're going to talk about automation next week with if this then that. But again, I think that is the power of technology in some ways, is organizing these things that relate to each other and automating them to some extent. But yes, Saeed is reflecting on some of the things he'd like to explore, which is awesome. Let's just look at those. So live streaming maybe once a month and more focus on growing his newsletter, and also recording videos for YouTube, mostly short tutorials. He does also recommend putting the commands on the Stream Deck buttons too.
Yes.
That's a great point. And I do have one, although I don't think it's working at the moment, but that's certainly something to explore as well. But I'm so down to explore Mix It Up more in the future. So that's something I'm really excited about. So let's go to our last little promo for today, and we'll come back and wrap up the show. But this is the video and live streaming show. Thank you so much for joining us.
If you've been watching us for a while, or this is your first time and you're thinking, Sam, John, this is great stuff, but I'm wearing a lot of hats already and I don't need to add this to my list of things that I'm doing, but I really want to live stream, I've got you covered. I've been a freelance technical director and stream operator for 20 years, and I can help you either with one-on-one counseling, setups of shows, or even run your whole show for you. Get in touch with me, samproof@gmail.com, or find out more at samproof.tv.
And if you do need those live production services, certainly reach out to Sam. He can help you out with that. Again, I feel like there was another chat command I can put in the chat. Let me do that quickly. Sure. So you can definitely do that. So again, I guess in some ways, I kind of want to encourage you to reflect on how things are going. But first of all, don't beat yourself up, because this is a lot of work and it's hard, and building an audience, making content, like these are all skills that you're developing, and that is awesome in itself. But I know it's very, very easy to get disillusioned and fed up, but I think in some ways the main skill here is just having the tenacity to hang on long enough to reach an audience and make an impact. So I guess that's kind of the thing that I want to leave you with today. But Sam, do you have any thoughts or encouragement you'd like to share?
I mean, yeah, don't let your house catch fire. That's a huge hurdle, and it will make you change everything very fast. No, if it works, keep doing it and see how you can scale it. And if it's not working, it's been 6 months since the beginning of the year. It's time to cut some things or pivot or, find ways to do it better. So, analyze all of the things, take this time to reflect on your workflow and, what can be done more succinctly, what can be scaled out, and, what your goals for the future are.
Absolutely. Erica's been wondering out loud if she should bring back her live show. So I've been considering doing seasons fall and winter using spring and summer for virtual events. So, I mean, in some ways, like, and if you don't know Erica, Talk Virtual, like she's doing she's doing some live streams in the traditional sense that go out to social media. She's also doing some stuff in Zoom with audiences that interact with her in a more direct way. So I mean, in some ways, I wouldn't get too hung up on the labels because you're doing so much, and it's really great to see. So I mean, by all means, see if you can explore those things to the extent you're able to, but just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like Saeed might be calling you out here, Sam, a little bit. He writes, remove the terms viral and Mr. Beast from your vocabulary. It makes things much easier.
No, I don't disagree with that. Like, whether or not I use those terms, I fully support that statement. Yeah, it's, it is an unattainable, hard goal to put on yourself, right? Like, don't strive for virality. It's a pointless goal, because really what you want is something that works time and time again. When we talk about things like that go viral, it's a one-hit wonder, and you're going to be lucky to pull anything out of it if you're not prepared. Like, if you don't have a back catalog of well thought out quality content, you go viral 20 times, you're not going to do anything with that.
And I think, like, I don't have anything against Mr. Beast as such, but I just don't think it's a very useful comparison for any individual content creator. No. Like, he has teams, he has money, yes. He has resources. Don't. And I think all of content creation has this annoying habit of looking at these outliers and just going, these people that have done this impossible thing, yes, they'll be the standard by which we measure ourselves. And I don't think it's useful. I don't think it's good for your mental health. I don't think it's a particularly good strategy. So, and I sort of joke with Sam because he's forever working those sorts of things into videos and video titles and thumbnails to see if he can get a larger audience, which is fine. Like, good luck to you. But it's not something I personally dabble in. But that's the thing. I guess in some ways,
you gotta get those power words.
The power words. I guess in some ways, like for me, I want to focus on habits. My podcast is called Build a Presentation Muscle because it is about the repetition. It's about setting up things that you can do on a consistent basis and that you can get comfortable with, that you can work into your weekly schedule. But I guess the other thing too, as someone who has a very habitual nature, things can work really well for me for a while, but I can also get bored. And I guess that's the thing that I'm coming back to. And I'm really excited that we're going to be doing stuff in OBS and Restream moving forward, because I think that new process is going to make things interesting and fun for me in a new way. So I'm really excited for that. So we're going to explore that next. We're going to be doing a version of the show from OBS next week. We're going to be talking about if this, then that. Which is an automation tool which Sam loves using. So we hope you'll join us for that. But I guess, Sam, as we begin to wrap up, where can people go to learn more about you and watch your content and all the good things?
Yeah, head over to samproof.tv and you can find all of my links at the top left there. You can scan this QR code and some services as well if you want me to help you with your own automation or chatbot or starting a live stream. And if you didn't get enough cats today, you can head over to cuteavalanche.com. It is running a playlist, but occasionally Amanda and I will be on there saying hi, and maybe we'll have other people's fosters and rescues on there live soon.
Nice. And if you want to catch up with anything I'm doing, you can head over to johnlacey.com. I've got a whole bunch of articles in the podcast, and there are social links at the bottom of all those pages. Come find me on LinkedIn and YouTube especially. Those are the places I tend to hang out. But yes, that would be awesome. So like I said, next week on the show, we're talking about live stream automation, particularly in regards to YouTube and social media and some of the things that we can do there. I personally do a lot of manual posting to social media, which I'm sure Sam thinks is ridiculous. So he's going to show me a better way of working next week. So hopefully that will all go well. But thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you happen to be watching this. And have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you again soon.